Although Liam Vickers is mostly known as being the creator of shows like Murder Drones and Cliffside, easily taking second place for his claim to fame is the wide variety of music he's composed. Everything from EDM to electro swing to dubstep to lo-fi to ambient to jazz to a combination of music box and hardstyle. It's safe to say that Liam has got some pretty good range when it comes to composing these silly little tunes for his stories. Unfortunately, it's not very common we get new music from him nowadays, with his most recent release being Stargazing with Murderous Drone Intent to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Episode 8, and the most recent release prior to that being years before. Although he may not be composing much nowadays, he used to pump out lots of music on the regular, mostly to serve as character themes or background music for his creepypasta channel, SSTWL. Of all the music Liam has composed, some of the most notable come from the OST he composed for his audio sci-fi horror series, PuppetGAME. Liam composed a pretty wide variety of music for this series, and even to this day, many of its songs and its OST are some of the most viewed videos on SSTWL, and commonly ended up being the only exposure some people get to PuppetGAME and its characters. Just so we're all up to speed, PuppetGAME was a series Liam made that combined many of his previous works into one expansive multiverse, where a puppet named Ponder would take protagonists of a few given dimensions and make them compete in a twisted challenge where losing means the destruction of your homeworld. Right here is a list of all the music Liam composed for the series. The OST includes 7 themes for some of the characters, and 4 extra songs that worked as background music. I'm going to look at each one on an individual level, and go as in depth as an idiot like me can on how each of these tracks relates to the characters and their stories. The first ones I cover will be relatively light on spoilers, and the last few will be heavy on spoilers, at which point I will give another spoiler warning. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into it. A good place to start, I feel, would be Ponder's theme. In the series, Ponder is the charismatic villain who runs the puppet game and destroys the home planet of the participants who are eliminated. Think of him as Sin from Murder Drones, except if she had infinite reach that stretches the multiverse and ran a brutal TV game show. Ponder as a character is insane, for lack of a better way to put it. He kills billions on the regular and has a hella good time doing it. Any attempts at possibly stopping or resisting him is only ever met with disregard, indifference, or humor. Ponder is in full control at all times, and he knows it, and he won't tolerate anyone spoiling his fun. Despite all of that, he is extremely charismatic and energetic, easily takes the crown as the most entertaining character of any room he's placed in. His theme perfectly reflects that. It's energetic, the booming trumpets perfectly match his booming personality, and underlying it is a slight feeling of aggression and hate. It's perfect. Unlike most of the other tracks we are going to cover, Ponder's theme also exists in-universe as the main theme for his TV show, which also just works perfectly. This easily feels very akin to many of the jingles and songs that have been used for live TV in the past. Liam definitely knocked it out of the park with this one. Eliminate is one I will bundle in with Ponder's theme, as they are alternate versions of one another. The main difference being that Eliminate is much more aggressive and faster, fitting considering it's the music that plays when Ponder blows up a planet. Not much else to say about this one, it's just a more aggressive version of Ponder's theme.
By definition, WMDs are designed to kill large numbers of people indiscriminately.
Next one up is Callie's theme. I have a bit of a confession to make. I'm not the biggest fan of this one, and if the view counts are anything to go by, that's probably a hot take. Personal opinions aside, Callie's theme is an EDM piece that Liam composed in collaboration with Datura, formerly known as X-Data. In PuppetGAME, Callie's whole shtick is that she's an unbeatable powerhouse, an unstoppable killing machine, with 4 tane tendrils and a matter distortion field that ensures nothing, not even bullets, can come near without being eviscerated. And the music...
Deadly.
I feel reflects that pretty well. The only real problem I have with Callie's theme is how simple it is for how complex of a character Callie is. Callie's just a girl who was forcefully molded into a weapon against her will. She now holds nothing but contempt and hate for humanity, and despite this, she tries her hardest to win the puppet game to save a world that rejected her as a monster. I feel like her theme is rather simple and simply highlights her role as the overpowered one. I do love the voice samples that Liam used in her theme, though, as they call back to the voice samples used in Left Hand Design, which somewhat acted as Callie's original theme, which is a very fun homage for the longtime fans. Overall, not as strong as Ponder's theme in my opinion, but still a banger nonetheless.
Deadly.
Next up, Doorguy's theme. Doorguy is an interesting one, and a bit harder to pinpoint. We don't really understand what he is, who he is, what his abilities are, what his intentions or opinions are. Hell, we don't even know his real name. He's only ever called the Doorguy. With the way he talks about himself, it's really hard to tell whether or not he keeps himself a mystery as a sort of drawn-out joke, or if he really doesn't even know who or what he is. Doorguy is the series' comic relief. He'll say some dumb stuff, and because we know so little about him, it's impossible to tell whether or not he's joking. Is he joking when he says he's depressed because he has no friends because he always ends up eating them? Who knows? The delivery is hilarious regardless. A modern character who closely matches his archetype, in my opinion, would be Jax from The Amazing Digital Circus. Not an exact match by any means, but both fill their roles as a comic relief character who derive a lot of their comedy from being charismatic a-holes. Frankly, I do not have much else to say in regards to Doorguy's theme. It fits his character and not much more. However, if I were to point out one interesting detail, it would be the light record scratching you can hear throughout the track. We know different contestants in the Puppet Game can come from different time periods. For example, Cold comes from the mid-2010s and John comes from the mid-2030s. I'd like to headcanon this record scratching sound maybe implies that he came from an older time period, maybe 60s or 70s, possibly even earlier considering how old gramophones have been around. And to get any sort of real insight into Doorguy's character is a really fun thing to think about that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. Sketch's theme. Sketch got very little screen time in Puppet Game, but what we got is reflected very well in her theme. On the surface, Sketch is a mimic with the personality of an enthusiastic, hyperactive elementary schooler on too much caffeine. Sketch is interesting in the way that she is the only character who actually enjoys being a participant in the Puppet Game. As for what she is exactly, in the most basic form, mimics are monsters that kill people. That's just what they do. However, in Sketch's world, many mimics opt to take the form of a human and live out their lives normally. Mimics are ashamed of their identity as monsters, but when Sketch was brought into the Puppet Game, she found a place where her abilities as a mimic could be used in a way that wasn't frowned upon, where being a manipulative monster is actually a major advantage. Her theme is happy, it's fast, it sounds thrilled at the opportunity to use her abilities for something bigger. And some of the hits in the music are almost reminiscent of the way that mimics hunt, getting their prey into a comfortable and unsuspecting position before violently striking and tearing the victim apart. For as little screen time as Sketch got, this thing did real justice for her character, and is one of the funnest themes in this OST. Alright, it's time for my favorite and the favorite of a good majority of the community. Cold's theme. Cold is a very tragic character. I won't go into her full backstory for the sake of spoilers, but she has killed dozens of people and hurt dozens more in a twisted attempt to be accepted by the one she loves. And when he rejected her, she killed him as well. Now in the Puppet Game, a destroyed person with a broken mind, she sees a way to possibly redeem herself and attain a future that she previously hurt so many to try and attain. But at this point, she's probably too broken to see this possibility through. Cold's theme is compositionally unique compared to the other themes. It's extremely simple, rarely even exceeding 3 layers of sound. Hell, it's even played in the key of C. Unlike the rest of the themes, which all consistently return to a recurring melody or chorus, Cold's theme plays through several different melodies, 6 that I could pinpoint on my own, and each has their own different vibes. All the while, the same eerie bells and wind plays throughout most of it. It feels much more narrative than the others, for lack of a better way to put it. PuppetGAME is extremely commendable, as Liam was able to turn an overall simple, generic, one-off yandere character into a fan favorite, and I believe a large part of that is simply just due to how good this theme is. No notes, Liam. Absolute cinema. I could go on about Cold's theme and why it's one of the best things Liam has ever composed. In fact, at one point I was planning to do an entire separate video on it, but in order not to sound too pretentiously sentimental, I'm just gonna leave it right there and say it's really damn good. Alrighty, next up, Malay's theme. Malay's theme sounds awesome. It is an absolute banger. But I hate to say it, it's not a good theme for Malay. Malay is a poltergeist, which in the SSTWL universe refers to an individual who found solace and control of the digital world as opposed to traditional afterlife. A literal ghost in the machine, if you will. Throughout the story, she is the one who is shy, unconfident, and self-conscious. She doesn't like killing, and she wants to do her best to just get by without her world being destroyed. Her theme is super fast-paced and hype techno music. Okay, Liam? Now, I'm not really going to dwell on that fact because despite that pretty major flaw, it's still one of my favorites in the PuppetGAME OST, so let me get into what I do like. The instrumentation is hilariously genius. A good chunk of the instrumentation in Malay's theme are just Windows XP sound effects that are pitched and sped up to sound like electronic instruments. And for a character whose whole thing is that they live in computers, I gotta give Liam some credit, it's pretty fun. And it goes a little bit deeper than that as well. When Malay was still alive as a human, she grew up in the Philippines. Why do I bring this up? Because Liam pitched these Windows XP sounds in order for them to sound like a steel pan percussion instrument, an iconically oceanic sounding instrument. Okay, now that's clever. I gotta give it to Liam. That's kind of fun. Also, I just thought I should mention the ending to this one's kind of funny. Alrighty, before we move on to the last four, it's only fair to say that from here on out, there are major spoilers for PuppetGAME, like the most spoilery of the spoilers. According to YouTube stats, only about 8,000 of y'all have actually watched PuppetGAME all the way through, so here is your proper warning. Alright, now that people who are afraid of spoilers are gone, Miasma Cold is easily the coolest frickin' thing Liam has ever written. Take Cold, make her an overpowered demonic zombie vampire. Y'all remember Callie, the unstoppable killing machine? Yeah, Miasma Cold slaughtered and decapitated her in a 1v1 and proceeded to eat the corpse. This fight between Cold and Callie is one of the highlights of SSTWL in my eyes, and it's just so cool. And luckily for us, Liam composed some music specifically for this fight scene, and it's awesome. It speaks for itself. To me, it almost sounds primal, sort of animalistic rage, but it still fits Cold's character and her objectives. Super hype stuff. This one does not get talked about enough. Next up, Sarah's theme. Man, I just love how this one sounds. Now is the part where I'm supposed to go into how this music correlates with her character. I'm gonna be as upfront about this as I can. I do not understand this character. I don't even know how to write a script for this part, so just pretend I said something really cool and smart just now. Yeah, let's go with that. My own stupidity aside, I do love how this one sounds, and it's easily one of my favorites to casually listen to. If you have any insight on it and how it connects to your character, drop it in the comments, because I may want to copy your homework, because frankly, I do not understand this character. I saved the best for last. Other than just sounding the best in my opinion, Residual Code I think does a particularly good job at integrating into the story. As previously stated, throughout PuppetGAME, Malay's the shy and uncertain one. Unbeknownst to the viewer, she comes up with a plan to escape the game, but isn't confident that what she's planning will succeed, so she just keeps it in her back pocket only to be used as a last-ditch attempt if she knows she's dead no matter what. When she eventually gets voted out and marked for elimination, she takes the opportunity to successfully escape Ponder's game, and succeeds. This led to 2 revelations for the series. Revelation A, within cyberspace, Malay is more powerful than Ponder, likely making her the most powerful digital being in the multiverse. And Revelation B, now that Ponder has destroyed her home planet, Ponder no longer has anything to hold hostage against her. Oh man. So yeah, the previously shy and uncertain one is now the one who's gonna rock Ponder's shit, and the song Residual Code was intended to accompany this insane comeback. It's too bad we never truly saw PuppetGAME's ending fully realized in writing, even though we know how it was going to end. I may have been lying when I said I saved the best for last, because there has been a recent development. In PuppetGAME Episode 3, at the hour 10 minute and 30 second mark, there is a song that Liam composed that plays in the background for about a minute. Exactly what this song was a mystery for years, and Liam never published or posted it anywhere outside of the minute it was used as background music in Episode 3. Some speculated to be a lost or scrapped version of John's or Halogen's theme, which were 2 character themes that were never created. At least that's how it was until January 3rd, 2026, where, thanks to John David 06, Liam provided the original file. It's not often we uncover stuff like this, so this song finally being released and this mystery being put to rest is super awesome. So what is it exactly then? It's an unfinished electronic remix of Miu's dark piano piece, Something's Wrong. Liam made it at some point but didn't like how it was going, so he scrapped it only for it to resurface in PuppetGAME for a minute of background music. I am a little bit disappointed it didn't end up being some lost version of John's or Halogen's theme, but it's not often we uncover new stuff like this, so you know what, I'll take it regardless. It's cool to get new stuff. I'm not great at outros. Listen to PuppetGAME and the rest of SSTWL if any of this was remotely entertaining, I guess. And so long as you keep watching my silly videos, I'll keep making them.